I don't think it is enough to simply show up and write. At least not anymore. When I had started this channel, when I had started the idea of doing this every day, of showing up and writing, regardless of, the amount of work I get done, the amount of time I put in on a session, as long as I'm showing up every day and putting an effort in, that for me I thought would be enough. I thought that was going to be what it would take to get me to that next level, to get my work completed, to get it to the point where it can be published. And for the past year, that philosophy has gotten me pretty far. Compared to where I was a year ago, it's gotten me much, much, much further. I've gotten 2 novels completed. One was a revision. I have had had a lot of drama with some of the publication of one of those novels. So I was able to get some degree of at least success on this path by showing up every day. But I think I need to go further. There needs to be a leap, another leap. There has to be another sort of, jump forward. If I'm to do this, and if I'm to do it successfully, I think it's going to take something more than just showing up at the keyboard and writing. For a while, I've played around with that idea. For a while, I've tried to figure out what that last thing is. I've spent some time racking my head around it. These past months, I've made an occasional video about what further sacrifices do I need to make. I made one yesterday about the fact that I have to sort of give up certain things in life that I enjoy doing to have the free time to write. So there's something there. There's something there that I know I need to do. Something that requires more of me to give to this process in return to get something bigger. And yet I'm not quite certain what that is yet. But it's something more than just showing up every day and putting in a strong effort. Off the top of my head, I think maybe it is perhaps focusing more now on output. That would strike me as kind of the obvious answer, and that very well might just be it. That I need to maybe make a goal to put out a certain number of words a day now, or a certain amount of time dedicated to the process every day. It's very antithetical to how I operate. I've talked before about how I don't like the mentality of having to hit a certain word count every day, simply because I think there are days where you have to accept that your word quality is simply not strong for the day, and that rather than putting out 1,000 words and with 500 being terrible, that you're better off just putting out just the 500 that are maybe of quality and sticking with that, because each word you put down informs the rest of your story. That you can't really revise a terrible story to become a greater one. Oftentimes a terrible sort of first draft, a terrible prose, it requires basically to be cut out completely and rewritten almost from scratch. And so that's not the way I've viewed this process, and I don't think it would be helpful necessarily to go that direction. So perhaps it's something else. Perhaps it's time. Maybe I have to put more time into this process. In other words, maybe I have to set a certain limit for how short my sessions can be. That at a minimum, my sessions need to be a certain length, 2 hours, just as an example, or something like that. Maybe that's what it will take. Maybe it will take that, working at a 2 hour a day pace to focus on my writing. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what it is, and yet I know there needs to be something else. That I am close to getting there, but there needs to be one additional thing. Yeah. I think what also informs a lot of this thought, what's kind of pushed me in this direction as well, has been the fact that I am now sort of blending two different worlds. With me discussing the fact that I'm going to self-publish my first novel there, I've sort of blended now both the writing, the prose, the actual prose side of it, with the writing business, with working on the publishing, right? You see me do a couple of days here where I was writing the blurb for my novel. You've seen some days here where I've written, very short things, and then focused on looking up agents for the rest of my sessions. There have been times where I've sort of blended both sides of that business into one encapsulating thing of, just writing every day. In other words, for the most part, it being very literal, but occasionally writing every day, meaning working on something to do with your book project every day. So it's taking on a bit of a broader context, and maybe that is what's needed to be more compartmentalized in my work, to sort of segregate both sides and keep just the writing as the pure sort of time allotted, and then using other times to work on the business side of it, to not blend both worlds. Perhaps that is the answer. As I sort of ruminate more on this, there's a sort of meta understanding that this is in many ways a good thing, to be in this sort of state right here, to be in the state of confusion. That's often the second element of the change process. The first part of the change process is the struggle. It's the most anguishing part. It's often, whenever you try to build like a new habit up, that's always the first part. It's always the struggle. It's always the ache. If you try to wake up early in the morning, for example, like let's say you want to get up at 4:30, whatever, to work on a project, and those first few weeks, those first like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever, it's a struggle. And then after that, you probably get a few weeks to maybe like a month or two of not struggle anymore, but now it's confusion, right? It's a state of confusion where you're playing around these different thoughts in your head, and you can't quite decide on what to do, and you're constantly in that state of just being confused. That's often the second stage, and the final state is where it becomes easy. It's the easy part. It's the maintenance part where things just automatically happen. I see this all the time when it comes to personal training. I see this all the time as people start to get back into the gyms, and I train people that have not worked out for a long period of time, and it tends to happen that way. The ones that are really successful, they go through that. They go through all these different stages of change. They go through the sort of the hard part first, and then they get into the middle where they're confused. They're thinking about, should I eat this? Should I not eat that? That's this, but this is that. These programs I've been looking at online now, for workouts, they say this, but this site says one thing, this site says the other thing. They go into that sort of Reddit. I call it the Reddit problem, right? Where you take a very simple idea, exercise and working out, and you start getting very, very deep down into understanding the different intricacies of it, all the complexities of it, all the different rabbit holes that you can go down in the field. That confusion state, that's always the second stage. And then the final stage is where you kind of have that plan solidified, you come up with the game plan solidified, and you just go through that maintenance part. It happens all the time, and I think for now I'm in that confusion state, that I am in a place where I know I need to do something different, that I need to expand. That writing every day was an awesome idea, and it's gotten me very far, but that now you have to push yourself a little bit further. You have to stretch a little bit more. The rubber band needs to be pulled apart just a little more than it was before. And so I'm going to find an answer, I think, hopefully, amidst this. And I'm betting it's going to be something to do with time. Just throwing it out there right now, just my guess. It's going to be something to do with time invested in these sessions, or what I focus on, maybe. But there's going to be something else. To get to that next level, to get this done, to get a book out self-published, to get another book potentially queried, to get this short story collection done by the end of this year, it's going to require something additional. And I'm not saying, even if I do that, I'm not saying I'll be successful in all this area. Maybe I only get one thing done. Maybe I just get the book out this year. Maybe that's it. Maybe I don't get the collection finished this year. That's not necessarily what I plan to do, but hey, maybe it happens. Maybe I don't get my other book queried. Maybe I never find an agent for it this year. Who knows? But there's got to be something more, something else I have to do to commit to get this stuff done, to at least give myself a good fighting chance to achieve these goals. And I think it's going to be time invested.